Okay, we're recording.
Call him to order.
Order in the court. Melanie, you can go first. Melena, sorry.
Good morning, Judge Crespi, esteemed members of the jury. The defendant today is Victor Frankenstein. The testimonies you will hear will be controversial and emotional, and the ruling that you will be asked to make is no simple matter. Is Victor Frankenstein guilty of defamation, malpractice, emotional and physical distress? To these charges, the defense pleads not guilty on the basis of insubstantiality of charges and insanity. According to Chapter 1, Article 17 of the United States Code, which addresses the insanity plea, the legal definition of insanity is a person suffering from a severe mental disease or defect causing him to be unable to appreciate the nature and quality of the wrongfulness of his acts. The defense will prove Frankenstein's innocence due to insanity through the debilitating depression caused by the recent death of his mother and subsequent nervous breakdown. I will prove this through the testimonies at trial today of Henry Clerval to establish character, medical experts Penelope Alexiadis and Matthew McLean to establish plausibility of depression and mental breakdown, Victor Frankenstein to establish his state of mind, and Frankenstein's creation himself. I ask you to carefully consider the arguments put forth today and remind the jury that it must, beyond a reasonable doubt, leaving no room for the possibility of innocence, decide that Victor Frankenstein is guilty at the end of this trial. Thank you.
I'm not involved. I'm just like a journalist.
Morning, guys. Today we're going to prove the monster's innocence based on defamation by Victor Frankenstein.
Well, the monster is suing Victor for... He's not on trial.
Alright, we're suing Victor Frankenstein based on defamation, negligence, and we're going to prove he's guilty through witnesses and medical personnel that we have as witnesses, and ghosts as well. And Victor Frankenstein he's negligent, did not ignore his creation and force his creation to do unspeakable things, which were not the monster's choice in the end.
That's where you have them call our witnesses.
Yeah, call your witnesses. Call your first witness.
The defense calls to the stand expert medical witness Penelope.
Yeah, go to your witness stand. We don't have a Bible to swear on, so you're good.
Ah, yes. Will you state your name and occupation for the court?
My name is Penelope Alexiadis. I'm the medical examiner for Victor Frankenstein.
Thank you. Can you describe some of your duties as medical examiner?
I basically found out that he has major depressive disorder, and it can be caused by environmental factors that can exacerbate the disorder, including lack of support systems, stress, and illness of a loved one.
Okay. What sort of effects can depression cause?
It can have a depressed mood, such as feelings of sadness or emptiness, suicidal thoughts or intentions, and reduced interest in activities that are usually enjoyed, like sleep disturbances. And there's a loss of energy or significant reduction in energy level.
Do symptoms of depression necessarily need to include all of these?
Not necessarily.
All right. Would you please describe the symptoms of a mental breakdown, a nervous breakdown, for the court?
He can call in sick for work days, for certain days or longer, avoid social engagements and miss appointments, and have trouble following healthy patterns of eating, sleeping, and hygiene.
Thank you. And let's see. As a medical expert, you have a basic knowledge of the human body's development and how it functions, do you not?
Yes, I do.
All right, will you please tell the court at what age does the decision-making area of the brain fully develop?
25 years old.
Victor Frankenstein is 17 years old.
I'm just going to keep going.
I don't have. That's the question you asked. You. What do you do as a lawyer?
I'm just asking. I don't want to look like
You're my lawyer, man.
You're the lawyer. What
I'm gonna do what I want then.
Okay, what does the other lawyer say when something happens?
Objection.
Move to strike.
And then you can ask your question of the judge.
Well, no further questions from the defense for this witness.
No, you can be cross-examined now.
Cross-examination. So you found out that Victor Frankenstein had all of these symptoms. How did you do that?
Well, we basically looked at all his symptoms and we just basically found out just based on the symptoms that it's
And these symptoms were what again?
depressed mood, suicidal intentions, difficulty concentrating, like holding a conversation or paying attention to certain things and making decisions that are usually really easy.
Could we say that Victor Frankenstein put these problems and symptoms on himself? Or were they the fault of something else?
Follow something else.
And what is that something else?
Like the sickness of his mother and the death is kind of just caused the breakdown.
Okay. And the creation of the monster, where did that stem from?
And that too.
Okay. So you're admitting that the creation of the monster caused Victor Frankenstein's
Objection. She has objection. Witness is not. Witness has no knowledge of. Witness only has medical knowledge.
But she said, Judge.
Yeah, buddy.
Sidebar.
Anyways, but she admitted that she could find out where the source of his sicknesses were from, and she admits that part of it is from his mother. And then she was about to answer my second question. Question aloud?
Yes. Carry on.
It started with his mother's illness and death, and the monster situation just made his sickness worse.
So Victor Frankenstein's creation, his own doing, helped fuel these symptoms. No? But you just said that the cause of the monster caused some of the symptoms, correct? Whether it was the start of it or not, because clearly you said his mother was the start of it, but fueling it was the monster. Because you admittedly said that the monster was the cause of some of these symptoms. Yeah. No.
Next witness.
Are we supposed to want to do that twice or we should. Well, I'm recording that.
I'll do it.
Call you. Okay, the next witness. No, it's you. It's all you. You're first, and then they go.
Okay, cool. Defense calls to stand Henry Clerval. Mr. Clerval, how long have you known the defendant?
Since we were young boys.
So would you say that you are an adequate judge of his behavior?
Absolutely.
All right. Will you?
Objection, Your Honor. This is no medical expert.
No.
No, it's not.
Correct. This is a character witness.
Will you please describe for the court the defendant's state of mind when you encountered him at Ingolstadt?
Well, I had not seen my friend for a very long time and was excited to see him. Unfortunately, he was in very low spirits and seemed very distracted. He was not his normal self.
Can you elaborate?
He was very withdrawn from social life, seemed to be out of touch with the scientific world. Had told me that he'd been spending a lot of time indoors by himself studying.
All right. Now, as our medical witness has established, some symptoms of a nervous breakdown are calling in sick calling in sick to work for days or longer, avoiding social engagements, missing appointments, having trouble following healthy eating patterns, sleeping patterns, hygiene patterns. Did you notice any of these symptoms with him?
Absolutely. He often avoided any social interactions, even when I eventually got him to go out into the world. He was very uncomfortable, wanted to leave as immediately as he could. He was troubled by nightmares and often had trouble sleeping.
So to clarify, he did exhibit signs of a nervous breakdown.
Yes, he did.
Couple of questions.
Do you have any idea what the source of Victor Frankenstein's nervousness came from?
As far as the history of Victor's life up until this point, he experienced some severe loss, the loss of his mother and the loss of his brother, and obsessive tendencies, perhaps.
Do you have any knowledge of Victor's work with the monster before?
Is there a secret about it?
And so when you were murdered by the monster, what thoughts were running through your head? Did it have to do with Victor? Not do with Victor.
When I was murdered by the monster. Scary.
Scary. And did you have any idea the monster had anything to do with Victor? Was there any connections?
I don't believe so.
No. Okay. Go further.
Right.
Pretty fun.
Okay, the defense calls to the stand the psychology expert, Jake. Mr. Jake.
So is he knowledgeable of monsters?
No, he is the expert. You have your own expert.
Yeah. Can I? But they only call people to the stand, right?
Yes, you will have your
Yeah.
chance. Have you not watched Law and Order ever?
Did you ever watch Liar Liar?
No.
Oh jeez.
It's a good movie. It's a classic.
Okay, back to the court.
All
Sorry.
right.
It's okay.
Order in the court.
Yeah, but
Will you please state your name and occupation for the court?
my name's Jake. And I'm a psychological expert.
Really? And so what makes you a psychological expert?
Years and years of practice and stuff.
All right.
To be exact, 23.
Oh, 23. That is very knowledgeable. Can you tell us a little bit about, after you have heard the basics of the trial, a little bit about Victor's psychological state?
He's clinically insane.
How so?
He feels nothing. He's got an emptiness inside of him that he doesn't. Yeah.
Okay. Now, our character witness, Mr. Clerval, had said that he noticed a change in Victor, that he hadn't previously been acting so bizarrely. Would you or would you not agree that this is the result of a manic depressive bout episode?
I believe it was a cause of many things leading up to the incident.
Okay.
Your questions are confusing.
I'm sorry. Let clarify. Did he exert the symptoms of a manic depressive episode?
Yes.
Thank you.
You mentioned that Victor Frankenstein doesn't have feelings, there's an emptiness inside him, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to argue that Victor Frankenstein obviously feels and has emotions if he had the conscious mind to destroy the monster's companion. Can you admittedly, or can you willingly admit that? That he had to have some sort of conscious mind to make the decision, whether how he felt good or bad about the monster's creation, he chose to destroy it for reasons that he felt were bad to the world. Yes or no? Okay. Yeah, and you also stated that Victor has expressed manic depression. Can you elaborate on that? Give me symptoms, give me how he got to that point, what caused it, the source of it. And since we're this far into the trial, I'm assuming that it has nothing to do with...
Objection, we've already established symptoms through the medical witness.
The medical witness, this is
Yes.
a psychological, analytical witness.
But we already established symptoms of depression.
Symptoms of manic depression, but you never elaborated on it.
That's not an actual objection.
You just stated that...
No,
You had it.
evidence isn't presented.
Order.
Exactly, no evidence was presented.
No. Yes, it was. Move on to the next question.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay. Back to Victor. Okay, since we already established the source, no further questions.
What source?
So now you can ask if they have any more witnesses to call, and if they don't, then we can
Call Matt.
Any more witnesses? Yes. We call Victor Frankenstein this soon.
You really call him.
Thank you. Mr. Frankenstein, will you please describe for the court your state of mind in the month leading to the creation of the plaintiff?
I was grieving over the loss of my mother, and as such, I threw myself into the study of the creation of life. It may have been because I felt the loss of life so deeply that I wanted to see if I could change that so I wouldn't have to say goodbye to anyone else.
So were these normal feelings that you were having? Had you had them before?
No.
Okay. What were your immediate thoughts after having brought the plaintiff to life?
Absolute terror at what I'd done. I played God, and I was not at all prepared, nor did I expect my first case study to be a success. I was expecting years and years of tests and changing my hypothesis in order to come to even a glimpse of life.
All right. You encountered your friend Henry Clerval about this time. Describe the subsequent interaction between the two of you.
I left after the creature I had created appeared above me as I woke up, and as anyone who wakes up from sleep, that terrified me. So I left and was trying to regain my nerves, and that's when I encountered Henry, and he reminded me of what it felt like to have a support system and a family. And after meeting him, I felt I could go back to my apartment and face what I'd done.
All right. Did you ever contemplate suicide?
Objection. You know, like this.
It's not legal. asked if he had ever contemplated suicide, could very well answer no. Leading the witness would be you did contemplate suicide, did you? So did you ever contemplate suicide?
Yes, I did.
Why?
I felt guilty on so many counts for everything that happened afterwards, even though it was not by my choices that everything happened. That the death of my brother and then of Henry and of my wife, those weren't my fault, but I felt guilty because I had created the creature that destroyed them.
So throughout this whole event, did you feel as if you were acting like yourself, as if you were in your right mind?
No.
All right. One of the accusations the prosecution presents against you is malpractice. So, by legal definition, it is the misconduct by a professional person, such as a lawyer, doctor, dentist, their failure to meet a standard care or standard of conduct that is recognized by a profession that reaches the level of malpractice when a client or patient is injured or damaged because of error. Do you have a professional degree in a medical field, medical or natural science? No? So would you consider yourself a professional in the science field?
Absolutely not. I consider myself an amateur.
No. So have you had formal education on the Hippocratic Oath?
No.
So you would not consider yourself a professional?
Absolutely not.
And therefore not subject to malpractice. Is it or is it not true that the plaintiff asked you to create a female companion?
He did.
Did you build that companion?
No.
Why?
I had already seen some of the consequences of what happened when I played God once. I was not about to do that again and create something that I could not control because I created something that had the capability for free will. If it had been something like a pet, then I would absolutely have done so. But because I created a being that had free will, I could not control the subsequent actions thereafter, and I was not about to do that again.
All right. You are also being sued for defamation. You described your discontent with the plaintiff in a journal that you kept while detailing the process of your experiment. To what level do you consider this journal? Do you consider it personal, professional?
It's personal. It is an absolutely private thing.
Have you shown it to anybody else?
No.
So you have not shown this private journal in which you which you allegedly defamed the plaintiff to anyone else?
No.
No further questions.
So you mentioned that after you created the monster, you went to sleep, and then you woke to the monster above you, and you ran outside, you were surprised, and you expected the monster's life to take years of work, correct?
Yes.
And you also left to regain your nerves. This all seems very logical things to do for a person that is supposedly insane. Can you agree to that?
I happen to disagree with your opinion.
Okay, so if...
When someone is startled, their first instinct, whether they're insane or whether they're absolutely logical, is to run. It's an instinct.
And your medical background provides you with the ability to say that confidently, even though you consider yourself an amateur.
Just because I'm an amateur does not necessarily mean that I have not studied the subject. I have studied it, but I'm...
So you're at the level of a professional?
No, I
Okay.
did not say that. I said
Then where does this line get defined?
the line between a professional and an amateur.
Yes.
I do not have a degree of any sort. I am not a professional.
Okay, and the line, the gray area of where you consider logic valid or insane, and what determines logic and the logical thing to do, where is that line drawn?
Well, because I am not an expert in either of those areas, I could not possibly responsibly say whether or not I was insane.
Okay. So,
I am just telling you that it was.
I mean, the logical thing to do.
I am telling you that it was a reaction, an instinct that I ran, and then as soon as I felt that I had regained my senses after encountering Henry, that's when I returned. It is not my fault that the creature that I created left in those hours.
Which hours were that again?
When I encountered Henry.
Okay.
The creature chose to do that. I did not choose for him to do that. If I had chosen, I would have kept the monster there.
But don't you think you could have kept the monster there if you hadn't left?
Objection, leaving the witness.
Question on it.
Do that.
How did you feel after the monster killed your little brother, Henry, and others that you loved? What were your feelings?
I felt guilty. And I felt guilty not because I felt responsible for their death, because I was not at all responsible for their death. I did not kill them. I did not strangle them. That was someone else's choice. That was not my own. I felt guilty because I created the creature that did so. And unfortunately, I created a creature with free will. So,
Okay.
I could not control his actions.
So, despite whether or not you killed your loved ones, the monster did. And you created the monster, and you failed to teach the monster proper human emotions, proper control over his emotions, and everything else that requires a person who knows nothing to control their emotions and not murder. Something of that power and that sort should be taught, should be in control if you made the choice to create it. And if you felt guilty, I don't know if insanity is necessarily a right plea.
I agree with you
Okay.
that a creature should be taught. Unfortunately, the creature who had free will chose to leave.
Because
And I
you left.
never had the opportunity to teach him anything. That was,
But again, you did have
that
the
was his-
opportunity to teach him more. On the glacier, when you met him again, you could have said to yourself, you know, I'm gonna try and fix this. I'm gonna try and make it right. We're not gonna have any more death.
but
I'm gonna
then
teach
the
the monster
creature
how
had
to live.
already chosen to kill. I could not change
And so
the
it's
fact.
okay to just let him kill more.
Objection, battering the witness.
Carry on.
So is it okay to just let the monster continue murdering more people? Were those the thoughts that were going through your head?
My thoughts were that this creature had free will. And
Okay.
I could only do so much to do anything. I cannot control the actions of another. The fact that the creature chose to kill shows that he was human enough to do so. Which, to be quite honest, either is or is not human. And if I am truly responsible for all of his actions, for the murder of everyone that he encountered in order to get to me, if I am responsible for that, he is not human and he has no basis to sue me.
Does a child have free will?
Yes.
Okay. Do children need to be taught what is right and what's wrong before they're grown up?
Yes, but if a child runs away, a parent can have no responsibility for
But
them
if a parent
except to
leaves
seek
the
them,
home and
which
puts the
is
child
exactly
there,
what I did.
okay, so you're admitting that you left the home irresponsibly and allowed the monster,
I
or
was
a parent in a
answering-
parent's position, a child, to leave.
I was answering one question and you continued and then supposed that my answer was due to the second question you'd asked. I was answering your first one.
Okay, I'll organize it better this
Thank you.
time. Then. Okay. A child needs to be, we'll start with the child needs to be taught, right? And the child has free will. Okay. Kingdom Monster. And you left the monster monster alone in the house. Yes.
I left with the intention of coming back. Yes.
Okay. Did you
Just
take the
like-
proper precautions to make sure the monster wouldn't get out? I mean, you're clearly terrified of your creation. Did you not think others would be as well?
I did not think that the monster would leave the house at all. That thought never entered my mind.
So you're saying you were negligent?
No. In order to be negligent, I would have had to completely abandon the creature, which I absolutely did not.
That is not necessarily true at all. You see parents are negligent all the time. They don't
Unfortunately,
completely
I'm
abandon
not
their
an
children.
expert on that subject, so I can't answer that question.
Okay. I feel like it's a pretty common question to be able to answer though. Next question. Did you know that you had depression while you were seeking medical attention?
I beg your pardon?
While you were seeking professional medical attention, did you know, or were you aware that you had depression?
I'm confused about what you're talking about. Could you please?
Well, while you were seeking medical attention,
When was I seeking medical attention?
by your experts, supposedly, right, who were examining you.
They examined me in preparation for the trial, just like your experts did as well, for the creature.
Okay. Do you think you failed the monster?
Objection legal, I guess.
Carry on.
Questions?
If I had never chosen to come back, if I had never sought the creature that I created, then I would agree with you. But that's not true. The creature has free will. He chose to leave. He chose to kill. Therefore, no, I do not think that I have failed the creature. Not at all.
Do you think that throughout the second chances you had, you could have worked with the monster?
He'd already chosen to leave. What more could I
I'm
have
saying
done?
when you found him again, not when he left.
He'd already chosen to leave. When I encountered him again, what more could I have done?
Well, I mean, you told him you were going to create a mate for him, and he admitted that you would leave people alone, he would leave, he would not do anything.
The problem with free will is that it enables you with the ability to lie, or to change your mind afterwards.
Okay, and how do you know that the monster was going to, that he was lying?
I did not, but I did not know he was absolutely telling the truth either.
And so
There's no way to be able to tell
you
that.
drove him further into madness and rage by destroying the creation you promised him.
I did not drive him or force him to do anything. I did not force him to kill my brother. I did not force him to kill a child. I did not force him to kill my wife. His actions are his own, not mine.
I think they're partially, I think mostly they're your fault for abandoning the monster, leaving him. Of course he had free will, but who was the person who failed to teach him how to control that free will? I have free will. My parents, my creators, told me how to control it, how to not murder, how to like feelings, how to be able to contain my rage.
Objection.
And things
We
like
haven't
that.
established abandonment.
I think pretty sure
The monster has left of his own free will.
that's not a rejection.
We spent like 10 minutes on it.
Yeah, we really did.
Order.
Hurry
So-
up so we can get to the next witness.
Then why did you feel guilty? You admitted you feel guilty earlier. Why did you feel guilty then if you killed everyone? If you don't think you killed the monster.
I felt guilty because I played God, and I did not know what the repercussions of that would be. And because this was a creature with free will, he could not control his actions.
Okay, so
Therefore, I felt guilty because through the mischance of creating something with free will, something that I could not control, he people that I cared about died.
So you felt guilty. This is a closing statement. I have no further questions after this. You felt guilty for the deaths of your loved ones, but you felt that you didn't fail the monster.
Yes, because the monster claims to have free will.
Free will that you failed to teach him how to control.
Unfortunately, yes, because he left and gave. He left
Also
his own free will.
Next one is you.
The defense is not for the witnesses. Who would you like to call up?
Psychologist.
Permission to make an opening statement.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Your Honor, the impact of child abuse and neglect is often discussed in terms of physical, psychological, behavioral, and societal consequences. I would just like to point out that this creature is not a monster nor the devil, as Mr. Frankenstein here has called him so many times, creating permanent psychological damage. In the first few years of any child's lifetime, it needs to be cared for, to learn consequences, and to be shown care for. Love is one of the human needs. Without love, compassion, and care, how is any child supposed to learn right from wrong? Learn to get along with other human beings. Some say that in order to love others, one must know love themselves first. Psychological problems often manifest as high-risk behaviors. So I ask you, how is this creature supposed to show love toward anything without himself being loved first? How is this creature supposed to have any other emotion rather than hatred and anger when that is the only emotion expressed in him by Victor Frankenstein? Did creature ask to be created? No. Did Frankenstein create him and abandon him? Yes. The only thing creature created in the entire world was a companion. Creature pleaded with Frankenstein to make him a partner, and the defendant could not so much as make up for his own mistake in the first place. When Mr. Frankenstein here denied him a companion, he knowingly doomed his son, his creation, to a life of solitude and loneliness. Therefore, for Victor Frankenstein to take full personal responsibility for malpractice and child neglect.
No further questions.
You cross-examine.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay. So, as a psychological expert, you are knowledgeable in the field of psychology.
Yes.
All right. So you are familiar with a nervous breakdown
Yes.
and the symptoms of and the results of.
Yes.
All right. So the defense believes that that Victor Frankenstein had a nervous breakdown because when he brought the plaintiff into existence. Now, as the prosecution has attempted to establish, the plaintiff is akin to Victor Frankenstein's child, and thus has its own free will. Do you agree? You argue.
Objection. We already established that the nervous
Yes,
breakdown
I'm
is the source of the
just
monster.
clarifying that she
Okay.
agrees.
It was like 5 parts to that question.
Okay.
You breaking down
Do
a
you
little.
agree that the plaintiff, the creature, the monster, what have you, is akin to the child of Victor Frankenstein?
Without care and nurture, I don't believe that the monster would have any knowledge as to how to correctly behave in the human world, having not had like a demonstration himself.
Okay. So, how long does it take to establish this basis of how to love, how to act?
In the first 4 years of a child's life, it's when it's mainly learned how to learn right from wrong and have consequences for their behavior, which the monster never had. So why should he stop what he's doing when he's had no consequences?
Right, could you repeat the length of time that would take?
The first 4 years of a child's life.
4 years of its life.
Objection, that's not how long it'll take. That's when the child learns the most.
Okay, well, in the first 4 years of its life, it's been established that the monster left the house within a few hours, presumably. Not enough time for any of this love to sink in, you would say. Would this not be because of free will? Would this or would this not be because of free will?
Well, Victor Frankenstein didn't give him a chance. The child was standing above his father's bed, and the father ran out of the house.
You're familiar with the fight or flight response?
Yes.
Is this in every human?
Yes.
Would you not agree that it was in Victor Frankenstein?
I don't know why you would need to fight or flight against your own creation.
Victor Frankenstein said that he woke up with the monster above his bed and it startled him. When a person is startled, would or would not the fight or flight response kick in?
Objection, Victor Frankenstein admitted that she wanted to come back.
Yes, but in the initial moment.
And then felt relieved when he got back that the monster was not there.
Oh,
We're not discussing we're not discussing coming back. Just right now, the monster is over the bed. Victor Frankenstein wakes up startled. Does the fight or flight response kick in? Yes or no?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Then how does this consider, excuse me, a minute to gather my thoughts. How could this be seen as what?
Okay. As a psychology expert, I would just like to point out that one of the major signs of depression is the lack of interest in anything. And so I don't believe that Victor Frankenstein had depression. I believe that he was manic and bipolar because he did throw himself into his work, and that's not depression.
Okay. Can I object to that? There was no question asked.
She can say what she wants.
Okay. Hurry along.
Yep.
We're running out of time, you guys. Okay, the defense has no further questions for this witness.
Next.
You wanna
You're
call
going
him
to
Matt?
stand Walker.
No, we're good.
You're done?
Yeah, who would?
You're not calling even the monster?
Matt, go on.
Okay.
Are you again? Like,
The X.
physical?
Yeah.
Can we get a motion? Can we get a clarification really quick on something that he's on trial for? It was malpractice. Can we distinguish malpractice versus negligence, like medical malpractice versus negligence?
Well, okay, I guess I can clarify that. Negligence meaning like parental negligence, and malpractice meaning he shouldn't have been doing this stuff because he's not on it and clearly didn't make a person in the correct form.
Okay, so malpractice as a parent.
No.
Negligence as a parent.
Negligence as a parent. Okay. Carry on.
As an expert in the physical medical field, do you think the monster could have survived the life that he lived?
Definitely he could have survived as like living, maybe not in a social environment. Though.
Okay, so the monster would have been alone based on this.
Pretty much yes.
That's 5, right?
What?
5 questions.
Go ahead. You're done. You can be finished.
So where were you born? My favorite color is blue.
So, based on your expertise, do you think Victor Frankenstein could have created something more? If he had the expertise, if Victor had the expertise, do you think he could have created something more acceptable to the people?
Well, I don't know because I haven't seen his work, nor has he hasn't disclosed it to anyone, and also this is a very experimental experiment being.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I would have to say no. I wouldn't know to that to a certain point.
Yeah. So one medical expert couldn't even tell because of Victor's disposition. Okay. Further questions?
Melina.
I have no questions for this witness.
Alright. We're not going to call them on to the stand. We're just going to keep closing statements.
Melina closes statement.
My client, Victor Frankenstein, has been charged with defamation, malpractice, and emotional and physical trauma. However, the defense pleads not guilty on the basis of insubstantiality of evidence and insanity. The defendant cannot be charged with defamation as the defaming material was written in a personal journal, not made public or even shown to another person, making his personal feelings expressed in a private matter. We believe that malpractice is also an inappropriate charge. The defendant was very loosely linked to his creation as a child, as the prosecution has so stated. Regarding the charges of physical trauma to the plaintiff, we have seen no evidence of any physical trauma. We believe that this charge does not have any evidence behind it. The cause of the emotional trauma is also questionable. The plaintiff claims that it stems from the defendant's alleged abandonment, and yet the affidavit prior to the trial from the plaintiff focuses heavily on the murder, suggesting that the trauma stems not from the defendant's creation or alleged abandonment, but his own act of murder. The defendant is but 17 years old, and thus, as our medical expert has established, does not have a fully developed decision-making portion of his brain quite yet. The death of his mother and subsequent nervous breakdown, as confirmed by our medical expert, caused him to have a manic depressive episode, we believe. His insanity is relevant in that it caused him to begin the entire process of creation of the plaintiff. However, he cannot be held responsible for any emotional damage because he was not in his right mind.
Walker.
Victor Frankenstein is guilty under neglect, abandonment, and defamation. Victor admits feeling guilty, but admits he fails the monster. As a creator, Victor failed the monster by not teaching him how to live in the human world, nor did Victor teach the monster how to control his emotions. Victor admits that he would have come back, or when he came back, or he had intentions of coming back to come teach the monster, yet when he came back, Victor expressed relief and gratitude that the monster was not there. An insane person does not use logic, and Victor clearly claims that he does. He claims he uses logic by destroying the monster's companion. He does admit that he uses some form of instinct, but logical people make decisions based on how they feel, and logic is clearly not insanity. Victor is not insane. There is reasonably doubt that Victor is insane, and insanity cannot be applied to his actions. His actions of not teaching the monster, actions of defamation, abandonment, and neglect.
Okay. Now the jury needs to make their decision, so you guys can have your conversation. If you want to step outside and decide whether Victor is guilty or not guilty in all the accounts.
Yeah.
Okay, full charges.
Yeah.
Defamation of character, that Victor defamed the character of the monster. Malpractice in that Victor professionally was negligent as a professional. Negligence. And then, of course, there is the emotional and physical distress that Victor caused the monster.
And abandonment.
No, abandonment is not one of the charges.
That was one of my charges.
Guilty
Yeah,
of a
bring
racial
it
Hey,
assault.
apparently
Do
we're
those
painting-
people?
Apparently we're
I
painting
vote.
Dr. Faggot.
Alright. Make your decision. Everyone else file a little piece of paper. Little piece of paper.
I feel like that was pretty good.
On this little piece of paper, I want you to have your own verdict. And why?
Yeah.
Your own verdict and why.
Didn't even need to call a monster the state.
Your verdict for this trial and why. No. Who do you think was guilty or not guilty? Of what and why?
Please don't say the words another trial.
Yeah, I heard that.
There is no such thing as an appeal process.
Walker, you can't talk with the jury. You have to imagine that they're not there.
Go outside. Go look at me. Whoa.
Thank you. No.
That's a pretty good wingman lawyer, right? Sure.
I can't talk about it yet. We have to find out who's guilty or not guilty.
No, I mean like, did
Did you
No,
need it?
you did a horrible job.
You really weren't prepared.
well, because that wasn't my job.
But you were the monster, so you should have been preparing your lawyer.
I would have been prepared to take over Elena's spot.
Okay, let's not do that.
Nah,
Let's not do that.
Have a donut. Let's have a donut. Donuts are good.
I mean, I was just meant to go as a
Oh no,
witness.
Jake, don't take off yet. Jake.
I'm just talking to Walker.
Okay, I was gonna say, don't take off. We've gotta wait for our proceedings.
Oh, Friday?
Yeah,
Can you get a donut?
What?
Yeah, get a donut.
Why?
I'm getting a donut.
Why? Because I pretty much
Rock.
you on this.
Well, no, I figured that was gonna happen.
I get it.
I figured that was gonna happen, but I'm still butthurt about it.
Oh, hey, can someone toss me one?
Why is it guard? What?
Don't leave yet,
I'm
Walker.
just going to
Sit down. You're like this lawyer that wants to leave his, poor monster or creature.
Yeah, hey, he is human, right? If Victor called him a monster, which is not cool.
You called him a monster throughout the whole
Yeah, you did it.
trial.
Actually, I used creature the whole case.
No, you
You
didn't.
didn't.
I have it recorded.
You used monster
You
multiple
did
times.
not.
I'm gonna charge you for a minute.
Do you need new counsel?
No.
I know this is like a really stupid question, but what is the monster? Because I can't stop thinking of young Frankenstein.
Yeah, I don't.
He
I
dug
don't
him up from like the grave and like brought him back to life. So like, what is this one?
Well, see, that's the weird thing. It's that it's not described at all in here, like that these are body parts, or you don't even know what it is.
Oh, I thought I was like missing something like completely.
Yeah, you don't even know if it used all human parts or if you used like animal parts.
You don't
as
have
well.
any clue. It just basically says, and
Yes.
that's really
Now
not
the
like
jury's
it.
on in there, he's probably really ugly. He's a monster. I don't know it.
You're calling him ugly.
I wouldn't want to see that.
I know, it's the weirdest thing ever.
Because
Hey, you wanna
the
see the
movies
cover to
do
this
make
book?
it into this like body
It's-
part.
Oh yeah, wait, what is the cover? Is that
No, no, no.
It's
Hey,
so,
look at this
it's weird because it's supposed to be like trying to make it.
Yeah, that's even. Wait, what is
yeah.
that? Can I see
Isn't
it?
that like very disturbing?
I wouldn't want to. That would scare me if it was
Yeah,
like if I was reading at night and I'd be like,
I hated opening it.
oh my lord,
Actually, I really like it.
you didn't have to look at it.
What was your room
Hey,
like?
Tom, since it's your birthday,
John birthday. I mean, I get to leave.
no, that means you grab the jury and tell them they gotta give us their verdict.
He has really blue eyes.
It is your birthday.
Yeah, I'm not prepared at all.
I know so many others
for
found out.
I'm sure you were.
You have my email?
I did, but I expected you as lawyer do, like as argument debate
I
do.
mean, I know better.
Just be like,
In the middle.
I just, no, all I know is that whenever you were talking to her, I was like, you can't bore a judge like that.
No, I don't know. My face was for something else.
Yeah.
I can't board.
Yes, it is.
I expected at some point for you to say, you can't handle the truth, but you didn't even go into it.
Why do you want to look like a dick? Last time we had an argument, I was a huge a-hole.
What was it?
That's like everyone's like not looking at me because it's true.
What?
I look like a huge demon in the last trial.
What was the jury? What was the jury deliberated?
I don't remember. It was three.
Yeah, 'cause we need to know.
Oh,
Like,
the
why did you go all out?
Yeah, I was just like yelling at kids.
Mom,
Got
Professor
butthurt
Cat's got a
over
hot
it.
take.
No,
I remember.
I'm pretty sure.
No,
No.
it's just I know that.
Got a
I remember
Dodgeball.
dodgeball when we played dodgeball and you were
Yeah,
the
like,
captain
yeah,
or something.
no.
I was what I was what?
You're going out for
Were you?
brunch?
No.
Wait,
What were you
late
late
judge?
I don't remember.
No, it's not inside.
I will never be in charge of this
Jury's
class.
back.
Because
Hey,
Walker
Judge, you get to ask them who's their foreman and who
Oh, yeah,
is
we were
giving
having
the verdict. And then you have to have the defendant and the plaintiff rise.
This is how you
Who's getting the verdict?
Call Colleen.
Okay, Colleen.
Wait, we're supposed to rise.
Uh-huh, rise.
I'll rise.
No, it's just the two people.
We, the jury, or however you say it, finds the defendant guilty of neglect, malpractice, in the sense that you were doing something which you really shouldn't have been doing, and
Yeah, like.
emotional distress.
You found him what about the emotional distress?
Guilty.
Guilty, so guilty
Busted.
on all charges?
Yes.
No,
Well, no.
because
What
it's
about
a
threat, defamation, and physical distress?
What was your decision for punishment?
Wait, what? Weren't we just giving grades?
Yeah?
Alright. We gave Walker an A for stepping up out of nowhere to be a lawyer. Melina an A, you were really well prepared. Aaron, we gave you a B just because when Walker would point out evidence from the text, you weren't really familiar with it. And we didn't go any further than that because we were rushed.
Okay. Oh, nice,
I
nice.
probably got an A.
Nice.
Start my day off with
Hey,
some success.
Yeah.
What?
Come here for a second. Jake, don't think you. We're gonna take a,
Feels good.
you know, 1 second, let's shut
Hold it.
the video. Awesome job, guys, awesome job. Take these donuts.
Yeah, I'll take them, don't worry. Does anyone, if anyone wants more.
Let me turn off this.
I'll have one.